It would be hard for any one moment in these last 40 years to edge out another with regard to Star Trek and my personal story. I've always felt the timing in my life that it came to me and the loss of my father. He did live long enough to see the film in June of '84, and he died in November of '84. It was lovely as a young woman in Hollywood trying to do this impossible thing and carve out a career as an actress to at least have my father believe or be convinced that I would be okay in such a crazy industry. That was a lovely thing that Star Trek gave me, that it might have given him a little peace of mind about his little girl off in Hollywood, you know. As an actress, I think insecure is an accurate word. I was so insecure about whether or not I was going to deliver. I was just 2 feet on the ground in the moment, wanting to make sure I did what I was hired to do, especially as the newcomer. Always keeping in mind that Leonard Nimoy would say, Vulcans have 1,000 years of wisdom behind the eyes. Can I manage that? Can I convey that? And the idea that he asked me to work in a mirror and try not to use my face while I speak. That was something I practiced. And I just wasn't sure if I was going to be able to nail it. But then I shook his hand the first day of work and I said, Mr. Nimoy, you seem to think I know what I'm doing, but I really don't. And he reassured me and he promised he would take me every step of the way and that he would never put me out on the end of a limb and leave me dangling there. And I said, okay, you got a deal. So before every scene, he would say, come here, let me hear it. I'd be like, okay. And I'd say the lines, David is dead, whatever it was. And he'd say, dryer. I'm like, okay. And, another actor might have been offended by a line reading. If a director gives you a line reading, not me. I told him, you just tell me what you need. He helped me and gave me that time to get it where he wanted it to be. I did not view Star Trek II. I did not see Kirstie Alley's performance, a very deliberate choice on my part. My portrayal was very much a collaboration with heavy leaning on my part on Leonard Nimoy. One of my favorite moments is at the end of Star Trek III. He took me aside and he said, Robin, how would you feel if you were on a New York City street and you were to encounter someone you'd been intimate with, someone you loved, and you hadn't seen in a very long time? And I'm hearing the question, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so big, this is so big. I looked up into his eyes, and I came back down again, and he said, that's it. That's what I want. I'm looking into his eyes as Spock. Is he here? Is he back? Does he remember me? Like, he just had this way of disarming you and getting you out of your own way, which was so lovely and something I was enormously grateful for. That's how he directed me that closely and how generous he was. He had a beautiful way with his supporting cast, if you will, Nichelle and Jimmy and the whole gang. And then he had a lovely way of explaining to Christopher or myself, okay, so this is what's happening. He always embraced us into the supporting cast. And Bill Leonard very diplomatically accommodated him and made sure that the rest of us were taken care of. So I thought he did a magnificent job. And I felt like I had a unique point of view in all of that because I didn't have preconceived notions. I just watched. I watched it all happen around me. And I thought, Leonard treats everybody the same way. I mean, obviously he gives Bill a little deferential treatment, but he did it in a way that wasn't offensive, and maybe it was necessary. He did it magnificently. By the way, he was aware that my dad was battling cancer, and he reminded me so much of my father, both tall, handsome, same generation. He was very sensitive to that, which was really sweet. I can easily talk about Leonard Nimoy and how much I admire him, and still do, and what a lovely human being he is. I wish I could remember when I saw him last. It seems to me it was in a hotel kitchen and he was coming off stage and I was going on stage. And he was, just as I remembered him, classy, elegant, articulate, present. And he immediately shook my hand and embraced me and acknowledged me. I didn't really quite realize how much Harve Bennett and Leonard Nimoy did mean to me until they both died. And I thought, wow, two men who changed my life forever just left the planet. I don't know how to say it any better. You know, as an actress participating in a franchise that goes on, right? It doesn't end. It was very interesting, and I had hoped for more, but I accepted what was. At the time we shot Star Trek IV, that I was left there on Vulcan, you know, with Spock's mother, and saying goodbye to the crew and to Spock especially. I didn't know what to expect because such a juicy tidbit had been left unresolved. You know, is Saavik pregnant with Spock's child? And all of the potency, you know, of that was left there to dangle, like unresolved, unrealized. You know, to some extent, you kind of just have to take a deep breath and accept it. You know, it's really a lesson in surrender and acceptance. The artistic license, you know, that people take with these characters and these storylines. And I couldn't have imagined a more beautiful way to celebrate the 40th anniversary, which happens to be this year, of the release of Star Trek III, and where Saavik, the character, was left, where we left her. I can't think of a more beautiful way to see her again than the way Otoy and the Roddenberry Archives chose to portray her. What a beautiful circle come full to now see her play out this storyline, which I understand originated and was inspired by the novel Vulcan's Heart, in which Spock and Saavik marry. What a delicious plot point that is. And now much further in time, and she has a grown son that she had with Spock. It was life-altering, it really was, and a lovely way to bring Saavik back, to revive her. And I didn't really know what to expect from this moment. So it wasn't really until I got here, and now I'm being shown a costume that is just crazy beautiful. The moment I put it on, I felt like royalty. And then the makeup, I didn't realize I was going to be aged. I didn't realize this moment took place in the distant future. And so there I was, looking at myself in the mirror. It's hard to explain. I just remember thinking, oh my God, Saavik lived a good life. This woman lived a good life. She had purpose. Her life had meaning. It's like life had been good to this character. And I just didn't expect to feel that. I just didn't expect to feel anything close to that depth of emotion. That is expertise and excellence that I have such admiration for. These people worked really hard and made me believe myself that I was Saavik.